Hello, my beautiful and creative friends. Welcome back to my little art studio on this very cold and snowy day, and to another cozy color along. I hope you've got something warm and delicious to drink and all of your favorite art supplies nearby, because we're about to settle in and create together for the next hour. Say hi to my little puppy. This is Ketsi. She's enjoying the snow. If you're new here, my name is Melanie and I'm the artist behind the Swimming Owl. Hey, that's me. Today, we're doing something extra festive and we're coloring one of the pages from my brand new mini Christmas coloring book. It's a sweet little download with 5 super cute holiday pages, and you can either print them out at home and color them or color them digitally on your iPad. So if you want to grab it and join in, the link is waiting for you down below in the description. It's perfect for coloring with your loved ones over the holidays or by yourself as a treat for a little bit of me time. So for today's color along, we are going to be working on the adorable Snowglobe scene, which is one of my favorites from this set. And I was super inspired by a friend of mine on Instagram, here's her handle, when she did this with a really pretty pastel palette. So I did my spin on that and planned out my colors on my iPad using the app Procreate. If you would like to learn how to do this, by the way, I have classes on it, but just a super fast tip is that you just pull the PNG file into Procreate and you put the line art into reference mode. You just tap the thumbnail, hit reference, and then you drag and drop colors on other layers to plan out your colors digitally. I really love working that way. So after planning out those colors, I got to work choosing my alcohol markers, and I will also be using some colored pencils today and a few other materials, more drama, and talk about those materials later and how they didn't work out. But for the most part, alcohol markers and colored pencils. So I plan out those colors on the iPad. I try to choose something really similar from my alcohol markers, and I will give you a swatch sheet as well in just a moment in case you would like to use something super similar to what I used. Alright, so after picking the markers that felt the closest to my plan, I want to test them out. So over on the left, that is my actual marker sketchbook. It's the Ohuhu marker pad, and I tested out the blends that I wanted to try because these are a little bit trickier today. Going from peach to kind of a purpley color is not the easiest blend to do, so I tested that out. Here you can take a screenshot of these colors if you would like to use something similar today. These are the Ohuhu alcohol markers. That's my sky plan right there with the peach to the purple. The white spots are from the colorless blender, using it to move the ink. This will be the snow, the kind of sky blue colors. Again, the colorless blender. The greens and yellows for the tree. That pink is going to be the decoration on the tree, and then these gold tones will be what I use on the Snowglobe base. So my tests went really well on that marker paper, and I felt really good going into this. However, my paper choice was terrible. So unfortunately, this paper that I printed out on just was not happy with the markers, and the ink from my printer didn't seem to settle in as nicely as I thought. So I did actually let this page sit for like 2 hours after I printed it to try to let the ink settle in, and I also dried it with my hair dryer, hoping that I was getting the ink to set in so that it wouldn't smear. Well, that did not work out. As I started coloring in all of this peach color, I noticed that the ink was definitely smudging. The black ink from the printer was smudging under my markers a little bit. So just let that be known. From the very beginning, I started to have a few issues and some things that I knew I was going to have to correct later. You may also be wondering, why are you coloring over the moon and the stars and not around them? My plan was to use the colorless blender to move that color back further into the paper, or push it out and kind of erase away the marker with my colorless blender, which did work, just not as perfectly as it worked on my test page in my sketchbook. So again, it's my fault for choosing paper that just was not meant to be used for marker. And this paper is a matte coated paper. So it's a piece of paper that I use to print like fine art and greeting cards on sometimes. It shouldn't have been used for this purpose, but I wanted to experiment and try it. Now we know. I would have been better off using the cheapy paper out of my printer that I use for printing like packing slips and things. But we learned something, didn't we? So back to my actual coloring technique here. I started by putting down a base of my lightest peach color and then tried to move pretty quickly, and while it was still quite wet, I put in the next step up of my peachy color and then came in with some of that kind of pinky purple color in the areas where I wanted it. I wanted that pinky purple to be mostly near the top, which you saw in my test on my iPad. So that's what we're doing here. I'm just layering this in and kind of switching back and forth between the markers. And I also kept the lids off of those peaches so I could very quickly come in and scrub those around to help blend things in. If I were using better paper, this would have worked so much better, but the effect still somewhat worked and it was okay. It's looking a little bit gray in some areas because, again, that's where that printer ink is smudging around. The fix that I have in mind as this is happening to me in real time was I knew that I could always come back with colored pencil and kind of cover up any areas that got a little bit muddy. So that's the mixed media artist in me planning ahead for how I'm going to fix any areas that are bothering me. As I'm watching this back as well, I almost kind of wish I had just stopped right here and just left it at this kind of peach to pink. However, I did come in with some more darker right now. I'm going to add in even another layer, and then I also try layering in, I believe, like one of those lighter blue colors at the top to try to mix a sort of purple. And I kind of wish I had just stopped right here and just let it be. But, you know, this is how we learn. The other thing that I was actually okay with too is, I'm not sure how well you can see it yet, but you'll see it more later. This background becomes more and more textured, and I even kind of dot in some texture because it gives it more of a snow globe feel. So it didn't actually need to be perfectly blended like I had it on my sketch page, because a snow globe typically is full of all kinds of glittery, snowy bits that float around, and that made it feel more like a snow globe by having that texture in there. So I'm not actually perfectly blending things out at this point anymore. I'm kind of giving it scribbly looks because I realized how cool that looked. So right here is where I decided to embrace it and just start giving it more and more texture. So I picked up one of the lighter peachy colors and just started dotting that in and just kept layering things in. The other thing that I noticed about this paper that I chose was, I don't know if it just needed more time to dry or if it was never going to fully dry correctly because of the coating on the paper. If you're a paper expert and alcohol marker expert, you can give me, or give us all, some pointers on this, or the science behind maybe why this didn't work. But I'm definitely thinking the coating on the matte paper was my undoing here. But anyway, I started dotting in and just layering these different markers in, and I ended up really liking that kind of glittery effect it gave. If you are brand new to my channel, by the way, and this is one of my first color alongs you're ever seeing, I've started doing more and more of this style of color along where I keep them pretty long and real, like I don't cut much out. That way I can kind of normalize how long this kind of thing actually takes. It's not a 20-minute coloring. This did take me over an hour for sure. And so I think it's kind of fun too to spend that time together creating and give you something to keep as kind of a buddy. You know, I sit here with you for an hour and we create. It's kind of like our adult version of parallel play. So if you like that style, Definitely stick around because I'm going to be making a lot more of these over the next year in my coloring books because I do illustrate my own coloring books, which is why I also have this little mini Christmas coloring book here that we're coloring in today. So this is kind of what you can expect from me in a color along from now on. I may occasionally make some short ones again, but I just think these hour-long ones are so cozy and fun, and I really enjoy creating them for you. I don't normally talk through the entire thing. I talk on and off throughout the color along because it is an hour and I don't always have that much to say. That may be hard to believe, seeing as I've yapped your little ears off so much from the beginning till now, but I will have some little quiet periods here and there, and we'll listen to some kind of cozy, jazzy holiday music. So if that's your vibe, definitely stick around and consider liking the video and leaving a comment and subscribing. It would really help me out, and I would love to see you again and see you back here to color along with me or just create alongside of me. You don't have to be coloring. We can be doing anything alongside one another, just giving ourselves that treat that our brain needs to be creative. So if you are one of those new folks here to my channel, and maybe you came here because you saw that more recent video of my gift shop opening, a lot of new subscribers came from that video. So if you're wondering why I'm suddenly doing color alongs, my YouTube channel is kind of a mixture of things on my life as an artist. So we explore the artwork that I've created in my coloring books by coloring together, but we also sometimes get updates on other projects that I'm doing, like opening that gift shop. I will be giving another little update on that gift shop soon in a video as well, or kind of like day in the life type videos I might start trying to do on days when I'm in the gift shop. So my studio slash gift shop, I should say. So this channel is really a mixture of those things, and you don't have to watch every single one of my videos if you don't like a certain piece of my type of content. You can watch the videos that speak to you and skip the others. I know some people like channels that are very specifically just one thing, but my life as an artist doesn't fit neatly into just one box. So just wanted to let you all know that my channel is more about kind of artsy vibes. We spend a lot of quality time together. I chat a lot. We make art, but we also look at the other side of my life sometimes. So, okay, so back to technique. You guys just saw me try something new where you kind of marry the tips of your markers together to get a slightly better blend. And this actually worked really well. And again, the same thing that happened to me before. I kind of wish I had just stopped right here and just left it. But I kept trying to layer and layer and layer marker on top of here because I thought I wanted this to be a darker purple, but you know what? Look how cute it is right now. I should have just left it, but I tried too many things all at once. So if you are coloring or creating alongside of me today, I would love to know down below in the comments what you're working on while I color and chat with you today. It just always makes me so happy, and I'm kind of nosy. I want to know what you were working on so that way I know what we were doing alongside one another during this little creative playtime today. Were you coloring from this mini Christmas coloring book? Were you coloring in a different coloring book? Were you doing some embroidery or sewing or drawing, or maybe you were cleaning the house while I chatted your little ear off? I don't know. I would love to know though what it was that kept you busy, or were you maybe just watching and drinking some hot chocolate? That's also a vibe, and I love that too. So here is where I finally started to realize I needed to stop. I needed to stop layering marker on this star and just let it be. The more I was adding, the muddier and messier it was getting. So I finally put the markers down and gave that star some time to dry so I could actually assess what was going on and what I could do to fix it later. I mean, looking at it on screen now, feel like maybe I was being dramatic and it's fine. But let's let that dry. So I picked up my colorless blender now and I'm using it to push the ink backwards and around to kind of clean up those stars and the moon a little bit. I'm brightening them up with the colorless blender. And then I kind of clean it off on a piece of scrap paper or my swatch sheet to the side when it gets a little bit muddy on the tip. And then I just go back in and scrub away at that marker a little bit more. And I think this is really effective, especially depending on your paper type. But this is how I kind of enjoy using this colorless blender. I use it to kind of erase things away. And it's not erasing it, it's just moving the ink to other areas. So like if you pick up the paper and look at the back, you'll kind of see that it pushes the ink either further back into the page or outwards into the ink around it. So I kind of do a different technique here where I'm tapping on top to make little white stars. And then you'll also see me use this later to make little white speckles or sparkles in the snow as well. The other thing I want to mention is that it's not always an immediate change with the colorless blender. Sometimes you have to give it a few minutes to see how the ink is actually moved, because right now I'm putting down kind of this colorless ink and it needs time to dry to see what it actually did. So it looks darker than how it's going to when it dries. At least that's been my experience so far as I've been testing this technique out. Alright, so I'm ready to move on to the snow, and I am going to do a sort of tricky blend here at the top. I want to put a little bit of this peachy color right at the top of the snow, kind of like the sky is reflecting down onto the snow. So I started with just a very thin layer of that peach and then moved on to my lightest blue color. And then I'm going to put that over the whole thing, and then I'll come back over the top with my darker colors, just the same way I usually work. And I'm also going to make this very textured, so I'll do a lot of dotting in as well on this snowy, glittery, snowy area. So for the front patch of snow right here, I'm going to make it much lighter than those two darker areas of snow in the back. So just something to keep in mind or to know of how I'm approaching this, but you could also reverse that effect. You could make the lighter snow in the back and darker in the front. I just wanted them to definitely feel and look a little bit different so it didn't all blend together. And then later, with my white ink, my little pot of paint, I'm going to come in and paint the tops of those snowy mounds so that way I get rid of the black coloring page line and it ends up looking really magical. So these aren't done yet. There's still some magic to be made at the end, but just to give you a little bit of insight into what I was thinking and why I wanted to do it this way. So as I finish up this front bit of snow here, I'm curious to know if you have any favorite holiday traditions or things that you like to do at the same time of the year that just make it feel magical to you, or the things that you look forward to most. For me and my little family, they're pretty simple ones. We look forward to putting our tree up after Thanksgiving and decorating the house a little bit. I look forward to rewatching the same movies or shows that I watch this time of year every single time. Things like Harry Potter and then less expected Game of Thrones. For some reason, I like rewatching it in the winter, except for like the last season or two. I pretend those don't exist. If you are the same, hey, we're best friends. I cannot stand what they did with the last season. What else? Let's see. I look forward to reading a lot, just being cozy and reading some books. I like baking cookies with my daughter. It's one of the things that we must do. That's a non-negotiable. We make sugar cookies and we put on fun frosting and sprinkles on top. That's what we like to do. We also like to play video games as a family. Yes, we are one of those types of families. So we look forward to the multiple days off over Christmas break where we can spend a day or two here or there just playing those games together and not having to worry about real life responsibilities for a little bit. You can just check out and do that and it's okay. We really look forward to that. So I'd love to know if you have anything like those types of things, or maybe something completely different than what I just said. If there's something that just kind of triggers in your brain, like, okay, this is our holiday rest time, and this is what I love to do and what makes me super happy, I'd love to know. And I am actually really looking forward to printing off the rest of these pages that I illustrated and putting them on the coffee table and having my daughter and I color together while we have some Christmas movies on. I think that's going to be really cozy and fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Making hot cocoa, making some popcorn or other treats, or maybe we will have made our Christmas cookies by then, and snacking and coloring and watching a movie and just hanging out together. I'm really looking forward to that. We are not the kind of family that needs to be going out and doing things like every single day and staying crazy busy. Like, we enjoy just being together and doing those cozy things together, and it makes us really happy. So that's the kind of thing that I am just so stoked to do very soon. All right, so while I let those base colors, the base of the snow globe dry, I decided to pop up and work on the Christmas tree. So I'm using the kind of yellowy green just on the outside of the tree to get kind of a glow from the sky and the stars. So that yellowy green is going around the outside here and then popping in a couple of areas like highlights on the front of the tree as well. And then I'll go to the next shade of green that's light, and then the darkest shade of green will be kind of the shadowy colors. So just to give you again some insight on how I'm tackling this tree and getting a little bit of that glowy effect. And then after I get that base built up, I will add in texture again with that same kind of like dotting in technique, because a Christmas tree does have tons of texture on it, and so that's really easy to do by just dotting in with your different marker colors. You can kind of bounce between them, and the light color you can dot it over the darker colors and it will create some really fun blends. All right, so I've just now picked up my darkest green color. I have not used that dark green yet. It was just layering those other two greens on top of one another. And so now this is the slightly more bluish green that I'm going to put in for both the shadows underneath areas and then also dotting it in just as a little bit more of that texture here and there throughout the tree. I ended up really liking this. This was one of the areas I would absolutely do over again. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the gold areas of the globe, or the areas that I want to be gold, I should say. They can be any color you want. And I'm starting with this lightest color, which almost looks like no color at all, but it is. This is not the colorless blender. It's, I think, called like Primrose or something, and I think it's also drying out just a little bit. I think I'm running out of ink in this one, but I wanted to put that down as a base. You could do the same thing with the colorless blender too, by just putting down a base of some ink. That way my other colors will blend into it really nicely. I did like this technique. So then I'll go up the step to the next yellowy color, and then to the next and the next, and I just keep layering them in, keeping the brightest part of it right in the center of this kind of base here. I guess that's what I'm just going to keep calling it, the base of the snow globe. So I'm keeping the brightest, almost white yellow right in the center. And now I'm ready to go ahead and tackle some of the final little details with my alcohol markers. So the stars and moon, the decorations on the tree, and then a little bit more work with my colorless blender. And that's just what I'm going to work on for the next few minutes here, just kind of filling those last few things in before I then switch over to my other materials to add in more texture and depth and fun sparkly bits. And just a reminder, if you do color any of these holiday pages from this little mini Christmas coloring book and you share your work on social media, make sure you tag me at the Swimming Owl so that I can come check it out. I always like to share your pages with my audience if you're okay with that as well, just so I can kind of brag about you and show you off. So whenever I see them, I always try to share them. If I haven't shared something of yours, it probably means I somehow missed it in my notifications, and it's not anything against you. So feel free to, you can even message me or tag me again. I always try to share them when possible. Sometimes I take breaks from social media, and that could be why I missed it too. It's nothing ever against you. Please always know that. I love seeing what you guys create along with me because, as I always say, these coloring pages that I illustrate are a collaborative effort. I start the artwork and I love to see how you finish it. Alright, so here I go again with my colorless blender. I think it worked pretty well on here, especially after these areas had dried and I came back in over the top. Right now you can't tell a whole lot, but again, after it dries, the little lighter patches of snow end up showing up pretty nicely from where I scrubbed at them with the colorless blender. And because I'm working on a darker color right here, I did have to kind of clean off the tip of my colorless blender a little bit more often, but that's okay. I just took a scrap piece of paper and colored on it just a little bit to clean off that blue that the colorless blender was picking up. And the more I did that, the more effective the scrubbing at the color was. Alright, so here we go, switching over to my colored pencils. Now, this created a bit of drama for me in a few minutes, so let me just tell you about it right now. So before I even started this page, I had the idea to use these cute little color gel pens that I had gotten in the mail from another company, Shuttle Art, to try in a TikTok video. So I wanted to put those colored gel pens on top of this page. However, I did the same little issue that I've done before where I put the colored pencil down and then the gel pens did not want to go over the top of the colored pencil because the pencils are waxy and so they act like a resist, and they said no way to my gel pens and the pens wouldn't lay down over the top. If I hadn't put the colored pencil down, I think the pens would have worked really well over the top of this and looked really cute, but again, we live and we learn, don't we? So I'm going to try that in another video sometime where I do just the alcohol markers and then gel pen, no colored pencil, which I tend to use as kind of like a crutch to fix things, but I am going to try it. I'm going to try to not use any colored pencils so I can put other materials down without them being resisted by the waxy pencils. But I'm still going to show you that attempt in a little bit with those pens. I'm also here to normalize the fact that when you go in with your colored pencils, it doesn't always have to be like a perfect strategy that you know is going to work out every single time, because goodness knows that's not how I do it. My colored pencil strategy is very much bounce around to the areas that bother me most first and try different things. And I will often, you're going to see it right now, I'm going to start putting color into different areas to see if anything is happening and if it's fixing anything. And if it's not, I put it down and try something else. So right here, I'm trying to see if this light pink will cover up some of the muddy areas where the black ink smudged, and it wasn't really doing a whole lot. So I put it down and I'm going to move on to a different color and try something else. So I don't always have like a perfect answer and I know exactly what color is going to work here. I try something. If it doesn't work, I move on. So I hope that normalizes part of this process for anybody that may be doubting and thinking like, well, I can't figure this out because I can't do it perfectly like I'm seeing somebody on social media do it. They don't know if something's going to work either until they try it. So, and they've probably tested it on a sketchbook or a page that they've never shared on social media before. So just know that you don't have to have some perfect plan that you know if it's going to work out or not from the start. Just get in there and play and experiment and lay color down and have fun. All right, so here come the shuttle art pens right here, the colored pens. Now, I do believe these would work really nicely if I hadn't put the colored pencil down first. So I'm not gonna say I don't recommend them. They have really pretty colors and they are really fun to use. So look at that color chart right there, super fun. So if you were looking for some colored gel pens, these might be a good fit for you. So my technique here was I tried not pushing too hard. I was just trying to dot in a little bit of this color, and whenever I did that, it did work a little bit. It did lay down a little bit of color over the top. Again, it's the colored pencil's fault. If I hadn't put that on there, this would have laid down just fine. All right, so at this point I'm ready to switch over to my beloved little pot of white paint, my opaque Copic white. This paint just saves me every single time. Anytime I can't get some other white medium to go down, this one doesn't fail me. So I spray a little bit of water into the pot and I get out my little fine detail paintbrush and I paint this in, and it makes my heart so happy. So I will link it down below in case you would like some of this as well. It seems a little pricey at first for the size, but honestly, you guys, this stuff lasts forever. So I have said it so many times before, I've had this little pot of paint for years and years and years, and I haven't even emptied it halfway. So, and I just keep like spraying more water into it to make it a little bit more runny, and it works so nicely on all of my artwork where I want to create little highlights or sparkly bits. And it worked especially well on these snowy areas. I love the effect that it made. I'm definitely going to give you some close-ups so you can see how it worked. And then, like I said, I also paint over the entire black line art for the snow. And I think that that just really turned up the magic vibe on this and made it feel like piles of snow inside the snow globe. So this cute, cozy snow globe is just about done, my lovely creative friends. I hope coloring along with me today brought you some calm, a little joy, and a whole lot of holiday magic. And if you want to continue the festive coloring fun, don't forget you can grab this mini Christmas coloring book download with all 5 of the cute holiday pages linked in the description below. You can print them out and share them with your family, or keep them all to yourself for your peaceful introvert time. There is no judgment from me here. If you enjoyed this color along, please give it a little thumbs up because it helps me so much. And of course, I'd love to have you subscribe so we can keep creating cozy things together. You can also tag me over on Instagram, don't forget, if you color this page, because I would love to see your version. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today, and I want you to take such good care of your creative heart. Stay warm, and I will see you in the next cozy color along, my beautiful friends. Until next time, happy coloring. But P.S. if you want to keep coloring together, you can check out this other color along next.